Fifth generation 5G cellular technology is gaining popularity due to the advantages it offers our previous generation cellular technologies. It has the potential to be a disruptive technology, offering greater speed than 4G long-term evolution. With such throughput, 5G is expected to play a major role in enabling technologies such as virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Things. Almost all industries will be impacted by 5G, and FinTech will be no exception. The FinTech industry is moving rapidly towards digitization, currently facilitating online transactions, contactless payments, online account openings, and online mortgages. Banks across the world are also trying to digitalize their services and are launching new innovative products to make banking easy for customers. 5G is expected to accelerate the process of digitization as the 5G network would be able to handle larger number of transactions than the current networks. Discussing this panel, we have with us Rajat Mukherjee, Director General, Broadband India Forum, who will also moderate this panel. Sunil David, Regional Director, IoT, India and ASEAN, Region AT&T. Neeraj Pandey, VP, Network, Engineering and Delivery, Vodafone. Over to you, Rajat. The stage is all yours.
Thank you very much, Payal, for the brief introduction to 5G and cellular technology. I must, however, warn the audience that it's not only cellular technologies that we are going to be talking about, but a host of other technologies which will realize the vision of 5G as has been spelled out so aptly by Payal. Ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon, as we celebrate connectivity, and a lot of us are here today connected through either a broadband connection at home or a narrowband connection on their phone or a Wi-Fi connection in their establishment or wherever it is. We have come to expect a certain minimum threshold of connectivity to ensure that we live and remain connected throughout this entire last period of work from home. And this recent COVID pandemic has resulted in a complete change in the way we work. We've hardly been allowed to go out of the house, but each and every one of our financial transactions has remained completely in place. Banks have been doing business. You and me have been transferring money to places. And the entire cycle of commercial work has not at any point of time shut down. It has slowed down, but it has not shut down. And this has happened as a result of this enormous growth of technology. We might be sitting here today on a 4G network, in some cases on a broadband network, in some cases even on a 2G or a 3G network. But FinTech covers each and every one of these types of networks and will be, if you ask me, something which will grow further in this 5G environment. And the real benefits of FinTech will be seen like never seen before. Technology has over the recent past several years provided new solutions and moved from being a primarily terrestrial network to today being terrestrial, partly wireless, and now also with an added element of the satellite introduction. And the satellite is now beginning to create an environment where communication in the 5G environment is going to become much, much, much more cohesive. And it is not only going to be voice. For people like me who have seen this technology change for the last 25 years, what started out as a simple voice call between one person and another migrated into a connection between objects and things and machine to machine now. And FinTech, along with blockchain and various other elements of the entire technology piece, is going to change the way we transact business for the future, whether it be cryptocurrency, whether it be just the same old UPI, whatever it is. We have today two experts and two experienced professionals in their field who are expected to throw some light on what can be expected in this area. And the best part that technology allows for us to be able to blue sky and envision a world that is virtually boundless and infinite. I'm going to ask Sunil David first a question on how you see 5G changing the way we do business. Do you see it as a game changer, or will it be an incremental over what we are currently seeing? Sunil, over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Rajat, for that question. And firstly, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to be part of this panel to discuss a very important and contextual topic. So Rajat, if you just look at the previous generations of technologies, 1G to 4G, it was all about faster and higher speeds, right? And what is interesting is that as one moved from higher speed to another higher speed, from 1G to 4G, the ARPUs of operators actually have come down, which is very interesting. When you talk about 5G, it's just not about faster speeds. It's all about a completely new experience. 5G is going to alter the DNA of a user experience. And I actually can sum up this 5G value proposition in a formula, Rajat. And that is much lower latency, less than 5 milliseconds, right? Latency plus security plus reliability plus speed. When you combine all of that together, that means it's a much better user experience, right? And you talked about whether it's going to be a game changer or it's going to be incremental increase in terms of innovation and in terms of better business outcomes. In my view, it's going to be incremental. In some industries, maybe it can be game changing. But you look at pretty much any industry, Rajat, whether you talk about retail, where 5G can definitely play a big part, whether you talk about immersive employee training, smart mirrors to improve that retail experience, manufacturing, remote operations, especially COVID situation when you had less people coming to the factories. You needed to monitor industrial assets remotely. 5G definitely can play a big role there. Healthcare, definitely a number of use cases. In fact, remote surgery was done in China a year and a half back using 5G network. Entertainment industry, I think that is definitely going to undergo a paramount shift. You can see a number of use cases, be it gaming, live sport events. In fact, I can give you an example where we partnered with Fox Sports in 2018 to live stream the US Open Golf Championship. From a consumer standpoint, high-speed, ultra-high definition, that's UHD, 4K, 8K video streams, fixed wireless access. So I think there are enough and more use cases where 5G can definitely play a big part. And some of the important characteristics, Rajat, which will definitely play a part, being that 5G can work with all other access technologies, right? 5G integration with Wi-Fi, 5G with existing 4G. I think that is important. NB-IoT, as and when NB-IoT gets available, right? So 5G will definitely play a big part in increasing IoT adoption, because this whole massive machine type communication which you're talking about, one of the important pillars of 5G, that will drive a lot more adoption of IoT because the fact that the capacity is going to be huge, right? 1 million devices over 1 square kilometer area, right? Features like network slicing, it's going to open up a number of use cases and also business models, right? And you can have one slice for one particular use case, one slice for an industry, right? So when you're talking about from an enterprise or a consumer standpoint, I think 5G definitely will play a huge part in improving performance and giving that better user experience. And very quickly, from a service provider's perspective, the case for change is very compelling, Rajat. One being the fact that the cost per bit in 5G is going to be much lower compared to earlier. Secondly, a lot of the orchestration and control is going to be done through software. So you can virtualize a lot of the hardware. So from a CapEx standpoint, that's going to be much lower from the service provider perspective. And 5G spectral efficiency is definitely going to be much better, right? So even from a service product perspective, it's going to be game changing from that standpoint. That would be my answer to your question.
Thank you so much, Sunil. You've captured a whole range of points. And in fact, you've also stepped into what I was going to ask you next. But it's interesting that you say that ARPU has gone down with each G which has come. And I think Neeraj Pandey is definitely our next speaker going to have a point of view on that, because with Vodafone Idea, I think they have been the most severely hit with this sharp drop in ARPU that has gone down. I must, in all fairness, also mention over here that I myself was with Vodafone Idea for a very long time, for the entire 25 years that I have experienced. So, Neeraj, fair game to you. But let me ask you this question. Game changer, incremental, or what?
I mean, that's just extrapolating to what Sunil has said. So it is a game changer for a couple of industries, and it will bring incremental gain to other industries. But unlike the previous generation of technologies, which were mainly kind of one-to-one communication, mainly H2H as we call it, or H2M, human to human, human to machine. Now 5G is an ecosystem which aims to touch each and every aspect of human life and society. It's going to make a very profound impact and going to make transformational changes, not only in terms of user experience, but also in terms of betterment of individuals' life, in terms of providing better facilities, in terms of using the available scarce resources more intelligently. So there are a lot of aspects, a lot of facets which 5G aims to touch upon. That is one part. The secondly, coming specifically to about the reduction of ARPU, or average revenue per user, that phenomena is not only pertaining to India, but it is there with all the leading countries. If we leave apart the East Asian countries, Japan and Korea particularly, all countries are impacted by that, or all operators, I'm sorry, are impacted by that, where the average revenue per user is falling and their cost capex is going up. And primarily the reason being is that commoditization of data. So I take it as all the operators are like manufacturers of data. So and whether you are giving the best effort or best in class data, I mean, how are you going to monetize the data? It all depends on you. So you have to reduce the cost of manufacturing of the data, as well as to add value to it, so that you can gain more currency out of that. And 5G promises to give advantage in both terms. So like, how do you deploy 5G and how do you use it? That is one very important point, which is going to bring down both the capex and opex for the operators. That is one part. And also, how can you monetize this commoditized data in different ways, like as we are going to discuss about ultra reliable low latency communication. We're talking about augmented reality, virtual reality, and there's something more beyond that, that is known as tactile internet, or internet of skills, which is next generation internet, where we are talking about something like remote surgery, which has already been talked about, and also the distant learning and greater coordination between a human being and so-called robotics. So there are a lot of, I mean, umpteen number of use cases which can be built around this particular technology on the 5G, and which is really a very great paradigm shift if we compare it to the previous generation technologies. Whereas 4G was, of course, a game changer in the sense that it made the broadband affordable, as well as broadband to each and every user. But as I was mentioning, 5G is going to take us beyond that. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Neeraj. Thank you for you've literally brought me straight into the next question that I was going to ask the two of you. But I'm going to ask you first, Neeraj. You made reference to AR and VR, and Sunil also talked about how entertainment was going to change the face of how we learn to play, etc. And I'm just asking over here, Sunil talked about latency being an extremely important element of the entire 5G piece. How critical is latency in AR/VR?
Oh, yes. So one of the important factors when we talk about user experience, whether it's augmented reality or virtual reality, then we are promising not of the latency in terms of 5 or 10 millisecond, but even less than that, 1 millisecond. And 5G with has got two important components. First is edge computing, or it is known in more technical terms as multi-access edge computing. And second is about the split architecture, whereas you can bring the user plane or as is known as user plane function as close to the end user as possible. And that helps in reducing the latency multiple times, which was unthinkable and unachievable. The only constraint remains the physics, law of propagation. Otherwise, you can reduce it as much as possible. And there have been various phenomena like near age, far age, and mid age, where you can locate your computing power and also the user plane function as close to the user. So to bring the real experience for the augmented reality and virtual reality, or what is known as the immersive experience for an user, where he is almost touching and feeling the environment and playing with the things and all that. So this is one enabler for that technology, and it's going to open up new vistas of monetizing the entire infrastructure, which the operators could not do it with the previous end of technologies. Not
Thank
only
you,
that,
Neeraj.
yeah.
Thank you, Neeraj. So Sunil, I'm conscious of the fact that you are an IoT whiz, as it were, okay? And IoT is something which it's a very generic kind of thing. The Internet of Things. What is meant by Internet of Things? Can you give us a little bit more about the importance of IoT, in 5G?
Right. So Rajat, one of the pillars of 5G being massive machine type communications, right? So when you talk about massive machine type communications, just imagine the number of the connection density. So in a 1 square kilometer radius, you could have actually 1 million IoT devices that can be connected to the internet. Given the huge capacity, that will give a huge fill up to Internet of Things. I mean, just look at a large factory, Rajat, thousands of machines there. And if you're trying to, collect data from each of these industrial assets, and if you're wanting to transmit them at a very fast speed and with low latency, 5G is the apt technology for that, right? So 5G will definitely give a fillip to the IoT adoption. And you name any industry, Rajat, manufacturing, retail, fleet, or even connected cars. In fact, we just announced a deal a couple of days back with General Motors. From 2023, all their connected cars are going to be with 5G transport, right? So from a 5G standpoint, I think enough or more use cases where definitely IoT, can be definitely grow, Rajat, in my view.
Terrific, Sunila. Again, I'm so happy with the quality of my two panelists. They helped me by giving me a leading point. All their machines, IoT, machines to machines, everything is connected on the internet, and not only are the devices connected, but even the measurement and the sensors which indicate the health of the equipment are all connected in a real-time basis. Things like Lufthansa in Germany has one. So what is the opportunity that we have here in this area of IoT, 5G, and manufacturing to create an environment in the private network?
Very valid question, Rajat. So we talked about private 5G networks. We've already started to see adoption pick up, but not in India yet. And you get examples in Europe. But I can give you the example of what we did with a large semiconductor plant, Samsung actually, in Texas, where they wanted to connect all their industrial assets, the automated guided vehicles inside, and all the robots. And the robotic motion control needs really very low latency, less than 5 milliseconds. So pretty much every industrial asset within that factory, they're all connected through a high-speed 5G network. And there what we are doing is we're combining 5G with MEC, edge computing. And so that when you have events which might happen and when you want to respond faster to those events, you can do that given that the edge is much closer to where the data gets generated, right? So 5G in combination with edge, I think from a private network standpoint, very, very good use case. And also the need for 5G to also integrate with cloud, Rajat, because while you might have use cases where you want to respond faster to any event, there's also that need to send data to the cloud, right? So the seamless compatibility with 5G and with 4G gateway so that you can send the data to the cloud, right? Now, even for a banking company, you can actually use a private 5G network, and you can use actually unlicensed spectrum, Rajat. Wherever countries permit that, like in the US, we're using CBRS, the Citizen Broadband Radio Service, which is basically shared spectrum, right? So pretty much possibility for using 5G transport of private 5G networks, even in India, if regulations permit, for pretty much any use case, a large factory, even a large educational campus where you have thousands of students working, you can actually connect all of them through a 5G network, or a large sporting event in India also. You can pretty much have a
so let me ask the telecom operator who is in the public switched telecom network environment what his reaction is when I talk about a private network. Neeraj, over to you.
Yeah.
And please,
so,
I'm not impinging on your turf over here.
No.
From the standpoint of connecting 1 million devices.
Yes. So I mean, there are a couple of things which we need to understand. First is that, of course, the 5G with its lot of advantages in terms of scalability, reliability, because it is more software driven, as Sunil's already mentioned, and it is kind of more automated, unlike its previous generation of technologies. So private network brings a lot of benefits in terms of a user will have its own network and they can run applications or use it as per their requirements, but it's going to be precursor for what is known as network slicing, because any kind of private network which you set up is not a very efficient use of resources, whether it's in terms of a spectrum, whether in terms of maintenance and all that. But since network slicing is still little away, because the entire network is not programmable or orchestrable, so that is why. But 5G private network, by that time, all the use cases will mature and the entire ecosystem will evolve about its true use cases. And down the line, maybe around 2-3 years, when the network slicing comes into place, where you're going to partition one physical network into multiple logical networks, and it permits both horizontal slicing as well as vertical slicing. So vertical means you can give one slice to one industry, or horizontal slicing as per the use case, then it's going to offer enormous opportunity, not only to the operators in terms of offering value-added services, but also to the end users to optimize each and every part of the investment that they are making. And also making it, the important advantage with the network slicing is it's highly configurable. You can configure as per your choice and as per the day of the week or hour of the day. So it offers a lot of those flexibilities. So yes, private network are going to play a larger role, but by the end of 3-4 years, when network slicing becomes mature, they'll all migrate to network slicing.
Thank you so much, Neeraj, for your very honest response, and Sunil, for your tremendous opportunities that you have been able to flesh out. I'd like to thank the organizers for this very interesting topic, and Neeraj and Sunil for coming together. I'm conscious of the fact that it is impinged on your lunch time. I'm also skipping my lunch to be able to enjoy this particular discussion, and I must say I have enjoyed it immensely. With these few final words, I'm not going to necessarily wrap up anything. I'm handing back to the organizers.
5 मिनट में अकाउंट सेटअप और ट्रेडिंग शुरू।
हाँ कर सकते हैं।
नहीं कर सकते।
लगी शर्त और हारा तो It's possible with CoinSwitch Kuber. Download करो और Bitcoin trading start करो. CoinSwitch Kuber. सिक्का चमकेगा.
Cryptocurrency is an unregulated digital asset, not a legal tender and subject to market risks and price fluctuation risks.
Where there is life, there is hope, there is meaning. But life has its downs as much as its ups. Life is about challenges. Life is about opportunities. Time for joy, time for celebration, and time to introspect. Thankfully, in every one of life's moments, and even beyond life itself, there's LIC. Where there is life, there's always LIC. Zindagi ke saath bhi, zindagi ke baad bhi.